My name is Martin Hultberg. I'm IP developer on The Division.
Let's talk a little bit about what your goals were heading into this open world.
Okay, that's a very broad and general question, but I like it. So the goal for us was to create this mid-crisis scenario of a city that's familiar to a lot of people, so we can kind of tell the story of how society is breaking down. That's the overarching goal. And then we also have, of course, the social gameplay aspects that's at the core of the entire gaming experience.
Tom Clancy's games are always rooted in some type of reality. Talk a little about how you guys research what's going on when it comes to bioterrorism and those kinds of things.
Exactly. The root for The Division came from a real-world exercise called Dark Winter. And once we started unraveling that thing, we found about Directive 51, which is a real presidential directive intended to ensure continuity of government in terms of a crisis. So we kind of combined those two, and we took it from there, talking to experts on various fields like doctors and former CIA agents to kind of get a feel for what we could do, and it took us here.
Now, technology and weaponry have always played a big part in Tom Clancy games. Given the backdrop of the chaos that's going on, what types of challenges were there in creating weapons and gadgets for this game?
It's an interesting challenge to have, because we of course have all the stuff that exists for real that we're familiar with, usually weapons. But then we also looked at gadgets and equipment that could be useful for these agents, and we took what exists and what's on prototype stage, and we kind of developed how would you use this in this situation, and that became the gadgets we have, like the Seeker Mine and the strobe light that blinds the enemies, etc.
Can you talk a little about, we have a Christmas tree behind you, the Christmas Day presentation you guys are showcasing here, and just talk a little about the environment of New York and what you guys are showing.
Yeah, the virus actually breaks out on Black Friday, and then a few weeks later we're at Christmas pretty much, and that's when it's turned to its worst, and this is the tipping point. So this is when the agents can make a difference, and either they succeed and they save New York, or they fail and everything collapses.
Can you talk a little about the AI and the citizens that you're dealing with in New York and how that plays a role in everything?
Yes, obviously civilians are very important. That's the reason we fight. It's not to preserve buildings or infrastructure, it's to save human life. So the civilians are an important part of the game, but then we also have, of course, the enemies, the factions that fight against us. In the trailer you can see two basic types. One is we simply call them thugs. It's looters or criminals who take advantage of the situation. Those are the guys we see outside of the base of operations. And then you have what we call the cleaners, which is a more unique and special take on a faction that could arise in this situation, and they try to take out the virus by burning it out of town, basically, and that's a problem for the agents, because they're putting fire to everything they can see and everything they can find, and they're killing people, so we have to stop them.
Can you talk a little about how big an environment people will be able to play in this game?
Yes, we are trying to recreate New York, obviously, is what we're showing, right? The exact scale of it, we're not talking about that right now, but it's going to be a huge world when you look at it, especially when you think about the verticality of gameplay with buildings and subways and all of that.
What has next gen opened up for you guys from a development standpoint creatively?
I think there are a lot of things, depending on who you are. If you're an artist, if you're a programmer, if you're a designer, you're going to find there are different things that next gen allowed us to do. Of course, we have the graphic fidelity, the amount of details that we put in there. We have the social aspects and the connection to other devices, like the tablet gameplay we have. So there are a lot of different stuff that together define next gen, I guess.
Can you talk about the tablet gameplay and what role that plays in this experience?
Sure. There is a fifth player that can assist the four players playing co-op together. And that fifth player is the tablet player. And he plays a drone that supports the others by marking targets or attacking them offensively. And he can provide different buffs or debuffs in the situation, provide intel for the guys who are playing on the ground.